You remember the feeling, that clarity, that drive, that quiet confidence that made you walk differently, think differently, feel like you were finally becoming the man you were supposed to be. You had it. You know you had it. And then somewhere along the way, you lost it. Not all at once. Gradually. One relapse became two. Two became a week became a month. And now you're sitting here, months later, maybe years later, watching another video about semen retention, telling yourself this time will be different. But here's the problem. You've told yourself that before, and you know it. That's not weakness talking, that's honesty. And if you can't be honest about where you are right now, nothing in this video is going to help you. So before we go any further, I need you to do something most men avoid. Actually look at what's happened to you. There's something that happens when a man stays in the relapse cycle for a long time that nobody really talks about. It's not just the low energy. It's not just the brain fog or the lack of motivation or the way your eyes look dull in the mirror. Those are symptoms. They're real, but they're not the deepest damage. The deepest damage is what happens to your belief in yourself. Every time you promised yourself you'd start again and then didn't, something got recorded. Every broken promise, every "this is the last time" that wasn't. Every Monday morning that came and went without change. Your mind keeps score, even when you pretend it doesn't. And after enough of those broken promises, something quietly shifts. You stop fully believing your own intentions. You still say the words, "I'm going to get back on track. This week is different." But underneath those words, there's a voice that's learned not to trust you. And that voice gets louder the longer the cycle continues. That's when the real problem begins. Because now you're not just fighting urges. You're fighting a version of yourself that stopped believing change is possible. And that belief, or the lack of it, is what keeps you stuck far more than any urge ever could. Think back to when you first discovered semen retention. There was something that ignited in you. Maybe it was a video, maybe it was a conversation, maybe it was the first time you held a streak long enough to feel the difference in your energy, your presence, your clarity of mind. That was the spark, and the spark is what made the discipline feel worth it. It connected you to a reason bigger than just avoiding relapse. It made you feel like you were building toward something real. But here's what the relapse cycle does to the spark over time. It dims it. Not dramatically, slowly, quietly. After every relapse, you reconnect slightly less with that original feeling. The memory of what retention gave you becomes more distant. The version of yourself that felt clear and powerful starts to feel like a character from a different story. Someone you used to be. Someone you're not sure you can be again. And eventually, you reach a point where you're not even sure why you're trying anymore. You know retention is good for you in theory. You've watched the videos. You've read the information. But that deep, personal, visceral reason that once made you want to fight for it, that's gone quiet. That's not laziness. That's disconnection. You haven't lost the desire to be that man. You've lost your connection to why it matters. And without that connection, no amount of discipline advice is going to stick. You can't build a lasting habit on top of a reason you can no longer feel. So before anything else, we need to talk about how to find the spark again. The first step back is not a cold shower. It's not deleting apps or setting a streak counter. It's sitting down with yourself in complete honesty and taking stock of what the relapse cycle has actually cost you. Not to punish yourself, not to spiral into shame, but because pain is honest, and right now you need honesty more than comfort. So think about it clearly. Who were you becoming when you were on your last serious streak? How did you move through the world? How did people respond to you? How did you feel when you woke up in the morning? What were you building? What were you pursuing? What felt possible? Now look at where you are today, not where you wish you were, where you actually are. How has your energy been? Your focus, your confidence in social situations, in your work, in your own sense of direction? What have you avoided because you didn't feel sharp enough to show up fully? What has quietly slipped past you while you were caught in the same loop? Most men avoid this comparison because looking at it directly is uncomfortable. But that discomfort is exactly what you need right now. Because when the gap between who you are and who you know you could be becomes impossible to ignore, that's where urgency comes from. That's where the spark reignites. Not from a motivational speech, not from hype, from truth. The fire you're looking for isn't hidden somewhere outside of you. It's buried under the weight of everything you've been pretending isn't happening. Here's something I want you to understand clearly, because this is the part most men skip over. Semen retention is not a discipline challenge. It's not a streak competition. At its core, it's a daily choice between two versions of yourself. And every single day, one of them wins. There's the version of you who operates from impulse, who reaches for release when he's bored, when he's stressed, when he's lonely, when he's avoiding something uncomfortable. That version feels relief for a few minutes and then wakes up the next morning slightly more hollow than the day before. And then there's the version of you who operates from intention, who feels the urge and doesn't run from it, but doesn't surrender to it either. Who uses that tension as fuel, who builds something with it, whether that's focus, presence, discipline, or just the quiet satisfaction of knowing he chose strength when weakness was available. That second version, the intentional one, that's the man the relapse cycle has been slowly erasing. And here's the thing about that version. He's not gone. He's just been losing the daily vote. Every relapse is a vote for the impulse-driven version. Every clean day is a vote for the intentional one. And over time, whoever gets the most votes becomes who you are. You're not trying to become someone new. You're trying to vote consistently for the man you already know yourself to be at your best. So how do you find the spark again after a long period of relapsing? Not theoretically, practically. The first thing you need to do is reconnect with the feeling, not the concept. You probably know all the information about semen retention by now. Testosterone, dopamine, transmutation of energy. Information isn't what you're missing. What you're missing is the felt sense of why it matters to you personally. So find a quiet moment and think back to the best streak you ever had. Go back to a specific day during that streak. A moment when you felt it. When you were in a conversation and your words came out grounded and clear. When you looked in the mirror and liked what you saw. When you woke up with energy that felt like it belonged to you. When someone looked at you differently and you understood why. Sit with that memory. Not to torture yourself with how far you've fallen, but to remind your nervous system that this feeling is real, that it's not fantasy, that you have actually lived it. Because one of the lies the relapse cycle tells you is that the benefits were exaggerated, that you weren't really that different, that it wasn't the retention, it was something else. The longer you stay in the cycle, the more convincing that lie becomes. Reconnecting with a real memory from your own life breaks that lie. It reminds you that what you're fighting for is something you've already touched. You're not chasing a theory, you're returning to a version of yourself that was real. The second thing you need to do is build a reason that lives below your emotions, because motivation is weather. It comes and goes. Some mornings you'll wake up feeling driven and clear. Other mornings you'll wake up flat, tired and empty. On those mornings, motivation is useless. What carries you through is a reason that doesn't depend on how you feel. That reason is different for every man. For some, it's their children. For some, it's a mission they're building. For some, it's the simple refusal to keep living at half capacity. Whatever it is for you, it needs to be specific, personal, and written down somewhere you'll see it. Not a quote from someone else. Your words, your reason. The honest answer to the question, why does this actually matter to me? When you have that, you have something to return to on the mornings when the spark is quiet. Now let's talk about right now. The practical reality of the next 3 days, because this is where most reignitions die. The motivation from a video lasts a few hours. The evening comes, the urges come, the mind starts negotiating. And if you don't have a clear plan for the next 72 hours specifically, You'll end up in the same place you've been 100 times before. The first 72 hours are not about feeling good. Don't expect clarity or energy or confidence in this window. Your brain is still running on its old wiring, still expecting the dopamine hit it's been receiving. When it doesn't get it, it will make you feel uncomfortable, restless, irritable, and empty. That discomfort is not a sign that something is wrong. It's a sign that your system is beginning to recalibrate. Your only job in the first 72 hours is to not give in. That's it. You don't need to be productive. You don't need to feel strong. You just need to survive 72 hours without breaking. And to do that, make the environment easier than your willpower. Move your phone away from your bed. Keep your mornings structured so there's no idle time for your mind to wander. When urges come, and they will, don't sit with them. Move. Go outside. Do 10 minutes of something physical. Not because exercise is a cure, but because movement interrupts the mental loop that leads to relapse. After 72 hours, something shifts slightly. The nervous system begins to quiet. The edge of the craving softens just enough to think clearly. You start to remember that you can actually do this. That feeling, small as it is the spark catching again. Protect it. I want to address something directly. If you've tried to restart multiple times and failed, you've probably had the thought that this time needs to be different somehow, that you need a new strategy, a new system, a new approach. But the strategy was never your problem. You knew what to do. You've always known what to do. The information has been there. The tools have been there. What was missing was a level of commitment that went deeper than motivation. Most restarts begin with emotion. You watch a video, you feel something, you feel ready. But that readiness is fragile because it's built on feeling good in the moment. The moment the feeling fades, so does the commitment. Real commitment doesn't feel like fire. It feels like a quiet decision that you made and aren't going to unmake. It doesn't require you to feel motivated every morning. It doesn't require the streak to be going well. It doesn't require circumstances to cooperate. It requires you to decide, once, clearly, that you are no longer available for the life that relapsing has been giving you. Not because you hate yourself, because you know what you're capable of and you're done settling for less. That decision is what makes this time different. Not a new app, not a new accountability partner, not a new video. The decision. And that decision can only come from you, in a quiet moment, when no one is watching. I want to close with something I need you to actually think about, not just hear. Somewhere inside you, there is a version of yourself that you keep catching glimpses of. On good days, on days when you're clean and sharp and grounded, you know who that man is. You know how he carries himself. You know the kind of life he's building. You know the way he makes people feel when he walks into a room. That man is not a fantasy. He's not some unreachable ideal that lives in someone else's story. He's you, choosing differently, consistently, over time. Every day you stay on this path, you vote for him. Every urge you let pass without surrendering to it, you vote for him. Every morning you choose discipline over comfort, you vote for him. And one day, not far from now, you'll stop feeling like you're chasing that man. You'll realize you've become him, not because you hit a streak number, because you changed who you are at the level of daily decisions. The relapse cycle is not your identity. It was a phase, a long one maybe, a painful one certainly, but a phase. This is the moment the phase ends, not because you feel ready, you may not feel ready, but because you've seen enough of what the other path costs you, and you're no longer willing to keep paying that price. You know what you're returning to. You know why it matters. If you're done with the cycle and you're making the decision today, drop a sword in the comments. Not for me, for yourself. So you can look back at this moment and remember the day you chose differently. Now hold the line. Stay strong. Stay sharp. Unleash your warrior.